Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Star Wars. Today we're talking about Star Wars, the original. Let's get started. Anyway, so the original Star Wars Episode 4, chronologically speaking, A New Hope. The original title is just Star Wars. Excuse me. Anyway, so the original Star Wars movie is the movie that started it all. Everyone loved this movie. Everybody, when it first came out, everyone loved it, except for those weird people who were just like, ugh, what a space movie. Fuck it. I'm going to watch Rambo. And for those people who did watch Rambo, good for you. I don't even know if Rambo came out in the same year, but or in the same decade at least. Probably did. Around that same time. Anyway, I love Rambo, by the way. Anyway, First Blood. So this movie is what started it all. It's what started everything. It started a universe. It started a culture. It started a fan base. It started a lot. This movie is the foundation of what Star Wars is today. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. And Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. And I fucking love this movie. This movie is probably one of the best movies that they've got. Ouch! That hurt! Now the basic plot of this movie is that a droid has plans for the Death Star. And they've got to get those plans to the Resistance before the Empire gets the plans. Pretty simple, right? Yeah. That's pretty much the premise. And the premise of The Force Awakens. We'll get to that one. Anyway. So this movie has a great cast. It has James Earl Jones as the voice of Darth Vader. It has Alan. I don't want to butcher his name. I don't want to say it wrong. I'll come back to him. There's Harrison Ford as Han Solo. There's Carrie Fisher as Leia, Princess Leia. God rest her soul. There's Mark Hamill as the Jedi himself, Luke Skywalker. There's a bunch of other characters, other people, other actors to play these characters. There's C-3PO, there's R2-D2, there is Princess Leia, Chewbacca. There's a whole fuck ton of them. There's Alec Guinness. Is that his name? That's his name. I think that's him. He played Ben Kenobi, and the dude played him brilliantly throughout the first 3 movies. Unfortunately, he has also passed away, so rest in peace, my friend. You did a great job, and I'm sure you did great in other movies as well. If you did other movies, I'm sure he did. I'm pretty sure he was a veteran in movies. Anyway, so this movie has the simplest premise and executed to brilliance. First off, the special effects in this movie are just insane. Seriously, the opening shot where there's this one ship just literally coming into frame, and then the Star Destroyer just comes out and is just blasting at it. It looks real because they are real. They're literal props that were created just to make that one scene, or other scenes that they make later on in the series. It just looks so great. The lights, the original version had some pretty, let's just say, unfixed moments. Like there were moments where I think where Alec Guinness was holding his lightsaber, and you could tell that it was just like a big stick, and they hadn't really fixed it up. But in the later versions, they fixed it up. They made it look proper. They made it look like an actual lightsaber instead of like an actor just like with a bat. But this movie is so great. Like Luke Skywalker is probably in this movie one of my least favorite characters because he's just that kid. But you grow to like him over the movie. He's just one of those kids that you're annoying at first, but you get there. There are definitely moments that are just like, yeah, Luke Skywalker. I feel you, man. I feel you. I do. Got you right there. Whew. Oh, man. This movie's great. This movie's fucking great. I fucking love it. It's just like you just watch this movie and you just like they just don't make it like they used to anymore, do they? It's probably just because they like to have special effects and special effects throughout. Anyway, this movie was just so great. Some of the greatest parts, like not Lando, he's in the next one. What the fuck am I saying? No, Harrison Ford is Han Solo. The intro to his character is just so it's so great because like Obi-Wan and Ben, they're looking for they're looking for transportation out of Tatooine, which is the planet they're on at the first. And and Harrison Ford just turns around and says, "What, you haven't heard of the Millennium Falcon?" It's like, "No, should I?" It's like, "Why should I? You fuck, dick, pain." Oh, and the casino scene is just like there's just so many scenes to love in this movie. The soundtrack in its own is brilliant. The soundtrack throughout the series is great. Luke's theme, very simply, is one of the best. I love that scene. When Luke's just standing there and he's looking out at the sunset and it's just queuing up, and I'm just like, that is a great score. I love it. Ooh. So. I skipped over, like I was talking about Han and then I skipped over. Okay, back to Han. Han's just Han just turns around and says, "Right, you're gonna give me what, 17 grand? Cool. Right, Millennium Falcon, that way. I'll meet you there." And then this creature named Greedo just comes out and it's just like, basically says, "Sit the fuck down, we're about to have a chat." And then Han Solo is just sitting there and it's just like, "Yeah, well, you know, the money, right? Yeah, I'll get the money for him, I promise. I'll get the money." And it's like, and then Greedo's just like, "I have been waiting for this moment for my entire life." And it's like, "Yes, I bet you have." No dodging, no Greedo shooting first. Han shot the fuck out of that kid. That kid is fucking dead. Han Solo didn't have a really obvious digital head just going boof, 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 like it would snap his neck. Oh, that hurt. Oh, but no, Han Solo shot first, and he did shoot first. The problem with the movie now is the fact that when George Lucas was still the creator of these movies or had the rights to these movies, he kept changing them. Like every time he re-released these movies, he would re-release them with new added bonuses. Like there would be like Han originally shot first, like cold-bloodedly, bam, Greedo dead. But in the re-releases, Han Solo is just like, "Yes, I bet you have." Boof. And Greedo would just narrowly miss him. That takes so much away from that moment, from that character, from Han's character. Han was supposed to be one of those characters that starts off as an insatiable, bloodthirsty dickhead who just didn't give a shit about anything. He just didn't care that everyone. He just didn't care what he did, so long as he was the one who got away. So long as he lived and everybody else just be damned. He didn't give a fuck. So when Greedo and then it also takes away from Greedo's character because it's like, how bad of a shot are you, a stormtrooper? How bad of a shot can you be to miss somebody from this fucking close? Like my camera right now, if I shot at it and I missed, I would be embarrassed. That's how stupid it is. Like literally, my camera is like 5 feet. 2 feet away from me. That's how far that Greedo was. That's how far away Greedo was from Han. It's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna shoot you." Just poof. Oh, that was a bad angle. Oh, can we try? So stupid. And the Mos Eisley scene was also re-edited. Like there was so much so much CGI that what's his name, George Lucas had just vomited onto that scene, that it was just like, it's not like it doesn't feel like it did before when it was sitting before, when we walked into when we saw Mos Eisley. It was just this really small area. Now it's just this big city, and it's like, well, You just have to change things, George, don't you? Like, seriously, you didn't have to change that, but you did. This, I will admit, this movie doesn't have as many changes that piss me off as much as, let's say, Return of the Jedi. In fact, that only has one that really pisses me off, as well as Empire Strikes Back. Forgetting that, there's also another part that just annoys the shit out of me because it's horribly edited. There's this scene just before they take off where Han's at his ship, and then there's Jabba, actual Jabba, just sitting there. He's just like, "Come out here, Solo, Solo, Solo." That kind of sounded racist. It didn't mean to be. I meant to be imitating Jabba. I apologize. It's horrible imitation. Anyway, so Han walks up and he's just like, "I'm right here, Jabba." And then Jabba turns around, and the original edit of that scene was just a dude. It was just a guy, and that guy just turns around and is just like he has the scene. That was originally taken out to add to add such a mystery around that character. It was like, well, who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is Jabba? And then, because George Lucas wanted to add in Jabba the Hutt for some reason, he added it in. But there was a released version, I think, where I have seen it. I've seen it where it was just a guy standing there and he was talking to him as Jabba, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. I have seen Return of the Jedi, and he looks nothing like a human being. And then another release, which is the release I've got, which I actually want to get the original version because the original version is so much better than this version. It's where Jabba's actually there, and they're talking, and there's this part where where Jabba's right here, and Han just walks over him, and it looks terrible. It looks so bad. It looked like it was edited in by a 5-year-old. It was that bad. I'm not kidding. But those are my only real gripes about the movie. Well, actually, there is one other gripe, and it's kind of a nitpick at this point. But this part is like the opening part with Tatooine, where C-3PO and R2-D2 they're just like, yeah, you know what, fuck you, and we're just gonna leave. It's like that. This is the slowest part of the entire movie. I could have slept through it. But it picks up by the end. But it's still a part that it is worth mentioning. Another thing that's worth mentioning: Darth Vader. Oh yeah, in this movie, Darth Vader is there's no other way to describe him but subordinate. He is somebody's inferior. He's not the highest pillar. He is like somewhere like there's the Emperor, there's Grand Moff Tarkin, Darth Vader. He's that low. He's the child. He's the child. The best scene with Darth Vader, I believe, is where he's just sitting. Is where he's like in a meeting, and he just goes up to this guy and he's like, "I find your lack of faith disturbing." And Grand Moff Tarkin is like, "Vader, release him." And he's like, "As you wish." And then he lets him go. And it's like, you are not the biggest bad guy in this room. Like, he's like Grand Moff Tarkin's the big guy, especially when they're interrogating Leia, and they're just and Grand Moff Tarkin's like, "I am going to blow up that planet if you do not tell me where the rebels are." And then she's just like, "Dantooine, they're on Dantooine," and then he just blows up the planet anyway. And it's like, and Darth Vader was just sitting there. She was like, "No," and Darth Vader just fucking pulls her back and was like, "Nah, you're gonna watch." And Darth Vader just sat there and watched, and it's like, dude, you're menacing. Like, you're evil. Like, you take orders, but you're like you can force choke people, dude, and you're the least threatening in the room. Well, you're probably the most threatening in the room, but you're just like, whew. Darth Vader's awesome, and Grand Moff Tarkin is awesome. I love the scene where everybody they've flown off from Tatooine. They're trying to get to Dantooine, but then Dantooine's not actually there anymore. But the Death Star is there, and they're following the what was it, a TIE fighter, and it was a short range fighter, and everyone was like, well, how the fuck did it get out here? Did it follow us? And it's like, no, it's a short range fighter. It had to have come from somewhere. And then they're just looking out, and it was like, is that a moon? And it's like, oh no, that's no moon. That's a space station. And then Han Solo, like Obi-Wan said that, and then Han Solo is just like that's way too small to be a space. It's way too big to be a space station. And it's just like, oh no, that is a space station. What the? Hightail, and they try to get out of there, but the Death Star increases its gravity field, and they start getting pulled in, and they can't get away, so they get pulled in. And then brings out one of the best scenes. Darth Vader just turns up to the ship and he's just like, I sense something I haven't felt since. And then he just walks away. And it's like you're totally talking about Obi-Wan. Like when this movie first came out, everybody watched this and they were just like, well, what presence did you feel? Like, have you met Han Solo? Have you met Luke? Have you met Obi-Wan? Well, we know you met Obi-Wan. So Jesus. Detail I totally forgot about, like that, like earlier on in the movie, Luke, Obi-Wan gives Luke his father's lightsaber, and Luke just turns it on. It's just like, it's like, oh, this is cool. And then he starts talking to Obi-Wan. It was like, tell me about my father. And it's just like, well, your father was a really good bloke, and then he was killed by Darth Vader. And then that obviously tells us so much about. My God, that obviously tells us so much about Obi-Wan. Like he had two disciples. One was Anakin, and the other was Darth Vader. And then Darth Vader was just like, you know what? Screw this noise. I'm going to kill your dad. And then, poof, off with his head. And then Darth Vader is now the biggest badass in the entire galaxy. Because they're in just one small quadrant of the galaxy. They haven't ventured out into the universe, as far as I know. But it's just like, it was just such a good scene because Darth Vader is just like, no. That dickhead didn't. No, I'ma kill him. Oh yeah. And then he goes off to Grand Moff Tarkin, and this is like a key example of why Darth Vader is not the biggest guy out there. Like Grand Moff Tarkin here, Darth Vader here, because he goes to Grand Moff Tarkin. And he's like, well, Obi-Wan is, he's on the station, and I'm gonna go fuck him up. Can I do it, please? Please. Yeah? Like, he doesn't actually do that. He just turns around. He's just like, he's all badass and everything. He's just like, Obi-Wan is on the station. And it's like, Obi-Wan's dead. It's like, no, I felt his presence. I must face him. Alone. I love Darth Vader. Darth Vader is just the biggest badass in the entire fucking movie. Anything. Hans Gruber, Darth Vader, Voldemort. Those are the three villains that are the biggest badasses ever. By the way, if you haven't read the books of Harry Potter, fucking read them. They're great. Moving on. So then we get to the scene. Obi-Wan's like, you go and free the princess. Oh yeah, that's another thing. This thing is literally the premise of any Zelda Mario game ever. It's like, princess is in the tower, go save the princess. I'm gonna go fight Bowser and Ganondorf. Yep, cool. So he goes off to actually shut down the gravity field so that they can get out. But after he shut down the thing, he finds Darth Vader, and Darth Vader is just like, I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. When I left, I was the apprentice. Now I am the master. And they just start fighting. And this is like the bare minimum of what choreo it wasn't even choreographed. I don't think it was just the two of them just sort of whacking at each other, and it's like it works for this movie because you can tell that Obi-Wan is somewhat skilled, but he's weaker than what he has been, and Darth Vader is just like he's pretty much, he can totally easily kick this guy's ass, but he's sort of trying, but Obi-Wan can still hold himself, but by the end he sees Luke and everybody's trying to escape. And he's just like, you know what? This fight's lost. if I don't sacrifice myself right here, right now, no one's getting out of here. So he does the best thing ever, and he just sort of sits there, and he's just like this, and then Vader slashes him down, but he doesn't die. He just disappears. Like he just full on disappears. And for people who only just watched this movie have watched that, they're just like, so is that how he died? Is that how people die when they get hit by a lightsaber? They just vanish. But that obviously isn't the case, because earlier on in the movie, in Mos Eisley, Obi-Wan had used a very similar thing, where he was attacking a few guys, but the guy's arm it's severed off like a normal sword. So obviously something else had happened there, but you're just awestruck. You're just like, oh, okay, so that guy's dead. And Luke Skywalker's reaction to that is probably the reason why you don't really question it at first. You're just like, oh, the dude just lost his family, and now he had to lose like somebody he cared about, like somebody who's basically like a father to him. Oh, that's deep. There's moments like this where you're just like, okay, yeah, Luke, I like you, Luke. Now get the fuck out of there, because you're about to, get the fuck out. But then it comes up to the moment where everybody has to, where the Death Star has just got to go. Like, they've got the plan, the Resistance has the plan, or the Rebels have the plan, and they've got to destroy the Death Star. The Death Star has to be taken out however they can. There's like a little peephole about this size that can be, just blows up the entire station. Now that was a plot hole, probably the biggest plot hole in this entire movie for the longest time. When Rogue One came out, it actually added to that moment, and that's kind of cool. That's what I love about Rogue One, other than a myriad of other things. And I will say this, from what I remember, the character arc from this movie for Han Solo is the exact same in Solo: A Star Wars Story. From what I remember, I have only seen that movie once, and I remember thinking back, and I remember when I was watching this movie, and I'm just like, isn't that the same shit that they did in the first one? In the first one. And I'm looking around. I'm just like, no. So, if I'm wrong about that, I apologize, but I have only seen Solo: A Star Wars Story once. So they go to destroy. So Han Solo's gone. He's like, nah, fuck this. I'm gonna go pay off Jabba the Hutt because I've got a bounty on my head. And then the entire raid of the Death Star is probably one of the best endings ever. It's like think of the Phantom Menace. Like how much shit was forced into that. There was 4 different things in one go. There was the attack. There was Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn versus Darth Maul. Yes. There was Padme and her shit, like trying to get to the Viceroy. Yes. There was the Gungans trying to destroy droids. Bam. And then there was Anakin, who was accidentally blowing up a fucking Star Destroyer. No, I can't remember what it was. It was a Trade Federation ship or some shit like that. Whatever. There was so much shit that was happening within that section that it felt clogged. It was like you're just not focused at the moment. Like if you had focused this shit up, like had 1 and 2, those two just being the 2 main things forcing the whole thing forward, that would have been fine. But they had 4 different things, and it's just like, what the fuck? It's like a Michael Bay movie, like a Michael Bay Transformers movie. You watch something like, let's say, Revenge of the Fallen, where the end thing is just like, and there's just so much explosion. You're just like, where the fuck are they right now? It's not that bad, but it's up there. But this movie, The Force Awakens. No, not The Force Awakens. A New Hope is like all of it in one. Just the Death Star. All the Rogue Leader and his squadron with Luke Skywalker in tangent, just trying to destroy the Death Star. And then they're in the narrow corner where they're just trying to blast through, trying to blow through, and few people get picked off. And then Darth Vader's in his ship, he's coming after him, and Luke's sitting there with the thing, and then he hears Obi-Wan's voice. It's like, use the Force, Luke. And he's like, and it keeps going, but then Obi-Wan's just like, no, use the Force, and he's like, alright, I got this. And Darth Vader's like, the Force is strong with this one. And then, and like Darth Vader had a lock on it, and then just, and Darth Vader's like, what? And then just all of a sudden, Han Solo comes out of nowhere, and he's just like, hey, I got you, boy, keep going, man. And then Luke's just like, yeah! Sends the photon torpedoes down, vroom, blows up the entire Death Star. Darth Vader's out in space, just going, oh shit, I'm gonna throw up in my mask. He doesn't say that, but it was awesome. This movie has so much epicness in the movie. It's such a simple premise. Get the premise, save the princess. Easy done. Like, it wasn't even save the princess at first. Like, it was just get the droid and the plans for the Death Star to the Resistance or the Rebels. And then they accidentally get onto the Death Star, which they're trying to blow up. And then it's like, but the princess is on there. Alright, we have the plans. We need to protect those. But we also have to go get the princess. 2 easy stories. And then finally, let's blow up the Death Star. Simple premise. This could have been the worst movie ever made. Like, it could have been just so stupid. Like, it could have just been like a really stupid space movie. But George Lucas felt something. He was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a movie that people are gonna love and they're gonna enjoy it forever. I'm going to put my heart and soul into this, and he did. He did so well. This movie was so great. The only drawbacks are the stupid moments that he's put into it, like Jabba, Han Solo not shooting first. But those are gripes, more nitpicks than anything. This movie is absolutely worth watching with every ounce of your fucking attention. Go watch it. If you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button, press the like button, and here's a question for you. What do you prefer, The Force Awakens or A New Hope? Question for you.